Hello everyone, and welcome back to the SBRE. In today's video, we're taking a look at the 2011 thriller movie Final Destination 5, the fifth part of the ultra-famous Final Destination series. Final Destination tells the story of 8 people who survive an unfortunate death when a bridge collapses, only to be chased by death later and get killed in the most gruesome ways. Watch this video till the end so you don't miss out on anything. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy. The movie starts with Peter and Sam talking about the amazing breakfast Sam had prepared for the company picnic. Peter advises him to become a full-time chef after seeing his horrible sales report. The two friends joke around until Sam sees Molly, his girlfriend, and immediately makes his way over to her. He asks her why she had canceled her ticket to his brother's wedding. Molly tells him that she doesn't want to see him anymore. On the other hand, we see Peter and Candace flirting, and Olivia getting dropped off by her recent boyfriend, only to get lectured by Candace for her horrible taste in men. The scene shifts and we see Molly getting harassed by Isaac, the pervert of the office. He was teasing her about her breakup and hitting on her, causing Molly to curse at him. On the other side of the road, Peter is telling Sam to apologize to Molly even though he didn't do anything, when suddenly their boss pulls up in front of them. He sends Sam to get Nathan, who worked at their factory. Sam rushes over to the factory only to find Nathan in the middle of an argument with his co-workers, who were bullying him for getting a leave only after working there for 3 months. Nathan defended himself, saying it was a company trip, but the union leader Roy was adamant to pick a fight with him. Sam calls Nathan and they leave. On their way, Nathan swears he would get into Roy's good books even if it's the last thing he does. They all get in the bus and leave. They reach the bridge, which was under construction. Sam starts feeling uneasy when he sees how high they are. Suddenly, he becomes hyper-aware of everything. As the bus comes to a stop, Sam cuts open his finger on the seat in front of him. The TV that was running shuts off, and random music starts to play on the radio. Only seconds later, the bridge starts to shake, the wire around the bridge snaps, and the ground in front of the bus breaks. Sam immediately snaps into action and yells at everyone to get off the bus. He takes Molly and runs away, closely followed by Candace and Peter, but the bridge was falling, and in her panic, Candace crossed over to the other side. She was holding onto the railing, but the road beneath her gave away. She was fast approaching the ocean when suddenly she was impaled by the flagpole of a boat beneath them. Everyone gets off the bus except Isaac was in the back talking to his girlfriend, but the bus falls off the bridge and Isaac goes plummeting into the ocean along with it. The road in front of them disappears, but a rod connects the two sides. Sam encourages Molly to cross over, and she does. He's about to follow her when she sees Olivia struggling to get by without her glasses. He goes to rescue her and sends her off to cross the rod, but just as Molly was about to grab her hand, the road shook and she goes sliding down the rod into the ocean below. For a moment, it looks like she would survive, but then a car falls from the bridge right onto her face, killing her. Nathan calls for Sam as he's running towards him, but a wire snaps and swings towards him, killing him. The part where Sam was standing starts to break, but he manages to hold on. His boss Dennis had also successfully held onto the bridge, but suddenly the machine with the hot charcoal flipped over, drenching Dennis. Molly was desperately yelling for Sam to come over, but when he sees Peter, he helps him first and then follows him. Now, Peter and Sam are holding on to the railing, and there's still a chance of survival as long as the railing doesn't give out. But a truck full of rods and tins was tilting over the edge, and the rod slipped off the truck and impales Peter's whole body, killing him. Sam desperately tries to avoid the same fate, but the tin roof slides down the truck, cutting him in half. The next scene shows Sam waking up in the bus, realizing that he was just dreaming. Sam is still startled by the dream when he notices the same thing is happening in the exact same sequence. He immediately senses something was wrong and tells everyone that the bridge is about to collapse. Nobody believed him, and everyone stayed seated except Molly, Peter, Olivia, Candace, Nathan, Isaac, and Dennis, who followed him. His words come true, and the bridge starts to shake. Everyone makes a run for it and manages to get to safety just in time to watch the bus fall into the ocean. The officer investigating the case suspects that Sam was involved with a criminal group, and that's why he knew that the bridge would fall. But when a report confirms that the bridge collapsed because one of the wires was loose, they have no choice but to let Sam go. They hold a funeral to honor the 17 employees who lost their lives in this incident, and there Sam meets a weird person who tells him that death doesn't like to be cheated. They ignore his weird words and move on, but Sam can't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. The same night, Sam visits Molly, who reveals that she only broke up with him because she didn't want to hold him back from taking the work offer in Paris. She encourages him to take the job and live his dream. We then see Peter walking into the gymnasium where Candace was waiting for him. She tells him that she doesn't feel like practicing today, but Peter encourages her to win the medal. He sits and watches her practice. Seeing Peter watching her, Candace is motivated and performs really well on the balance beam. But while she was practicing, a screw from a fan above her had fallen onto the beam, but with some luck, she avoided stepping on it. She moves on to the bar, spinning endlessly, when suddenly, another girl who was practicing on the beam stepped on the screw and falls off, knocking the bucket of powder on her way. The bucket flew right into Candace's face, making her lose grip and fall. The angle of her fall snapped her bones and killed her on the spot. After her death, everyone at the office tries to cheer up Peter, and while they're busy drinking, Isaac was stealing things from his coworker's desk. He finds a coupon for a spa and decides to visit. He harasses the receptionist, so she sets him up with an old lady for his massage instead of a young woman like he had hoped. The old lady puts acupuncture needles on him and takes away his phone, which won't stop ringing. He was just starting to relax when he smelled a fire above his head. He tried calling out, but no one heard him. He had difficulty moving his body due to the acupuncture needles, so he tried to roll out of the bed, knocking out the cleaning alcohol on the way. The alcohol had drenched him, and when he woke up again, he stands up and was about to leave when his phone started vibrating again. The vibration caused the candle next to it to fall, and the alcohol on the floor caught fire. Isaac relaxes when he realizes that he's safe, but his happiness doesn't last long as the shelf above him breaks, causing a heavy statue to fall on his face, smashing it to bits. Outside, Sam, Molly, Peter, and Nathan are all gathered when Sam notices the man from the cemetery loading Isaac's body into a van. He confronts him, and the man tells him again that Death doesn't like to be cheated. And because they cheated Death that day on the bridge, now it was coming to set everything right. Sam begs him for a solution, and the man says the only way they can live is if they kill another person and take their years. Sam reveals the news to his friends. Nathan doesn't believe it, and Peter gets angry, especially after Sam reveals that he had managed to save Molly. He accuses Sam of only saving Molly and walks away. Olivia is about to get her eye surgery done, and she's extremely scared. The doctor gives her a teddy bear to hold on to. He then positions her head so she can't move, and he clips her eyes open. He leaves her alone to attend to something, and due to anxiety, Olivia grips the teddy bear really tight, making one of the eyes fall off. Suddenly, a cup of water falls off directly into an electric outlet, causing a short circuit that started affecting the LASIK machine. The laser starts burning her eyes and her hand when she tries blocking it. Peter and Molly rush into the room when they hear Olivia's scream. One of her eyes was bloody, and she was screaming for help. Suddenly, her heel caught the teddy's eyes, and she stumbles backward, falling through the office window and into a car below. With 3 out of 8 survivors dead, Sam finally figures out that they were all dying in the same sequence they had died on the bridge. And if that's true, Nathan is next. Nathan is sitting in his office when he finds a note from Roy cursing at him. He calls him out to confront him, but he notices a machine isn't working right. Roy immediately picks a fight with him, but Nathan is more focused on the loose machine. He sees it coming to hit them, and he tries to get Roy to move, but when he doesn't, he pushes Roy back to make him let go of him. The hook comes down and pierces through Roy's skull. The friends were all gathered again discussing how Nathan was safe from death when Dennis comes yelling inside. He was making his way toward them when suddenly a metal object comes flying toward him, smashing his face. Now, it was just Peter and Sam left. Molly is very anxious about Sam going to work, but Sam assures her that he'd be okay and he leaves. But as he enters the kitchen, he realizes just how many things here can possibly kill him. He's jumpy and unfocused throughout his day. In the evening, Molly and Sam are trying to enjoy the candlelight dinner when Peter shows up. He looks very panicked and nervous as he reveals how he had tried to kill someone so he can take their years, but he didn't have the guts to do it. His expression suddenly changes when he looks at Molly and tells her that she doesn't deserve to survive alone. So he pulls out his gun and starts shooting. Sam gets shot, but he tells Molly to run away and hide. She hides behind a shelf and grabs a knife when she senses someone coming close to her. She is ready to attack, but it was only a police officer who had come to inquire after hearing gunshots. Peter kills the officer and gets his life. Molly begs him to leave now that he's not in danger anymore, but he tells her that he can't leave a witness alive and points the gun at her again. Sam comes from behind him and they fight. Peter knocks Sam down and corners Molly with a knife, but Sam stabs Peter in the back and kills him. Sam is safe now. He had gotten the life of the police officer after killing Peter. 2 weeks later, Sam and Molly are boarding a plane to Paris when there's a commotion in the plane and security drags a few people off. When he inquires about it, the attendant tells him that the boy had a dream and started screaming about how they're all going to die. Sam finally realizes what's going on, but it's too late. The plane had started burning. Sam tries to save Molly, but she flies off the plane and dies. Seconds later, the plane explodes, killing Sam. The last scene shows Nathan in a bar when an employee comes and talks about Roy's death. He reveals that he was going to die sooner or later. When Nathan inquires more, he reveals Roy had a brain tumor that was about to burst. The man walks away, and seconds later, the whole bar collapsed on Nathan, killing him. That was it for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video. What are your thoughts about this movie? Would you watch it? Have a movie you want us to recap? Well, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.